made a lot of the apothecary. We just ripped through that with Ezrin. We didn't get to anybody important yet, but we got a lot of stuff through there. And that's it. Okay, so we're going to move on to Amiri, who is hanging at the general store, and I believe that's where the skeleton was. But Amiri has some good chance to kill that thing because of her. She's got a lot of ability here, weapon-wise. She could actually just use her strength, the amulet. So she's going to flip over the skeleton. So if you use slashing or piercing, it's an 11 instead of an 8. So I think what Amir is going to use is her fists. She could use the icy long spear, but that's piercing, which will make him harder. But if she uses her melee, she gets +2, a d12 +2. And on top of that, because she can reveal her amulet of mighty fists, she adds a d4 with a magic to the check. But you can't play this with the attack trait or a weapon, with a spell with an attack or a weapon. But she's using just her melee fists to beat the skeleton down. So she gets a d4 and adds magic to it. So because we're not using the slashing or the piercing, he stays on an 8. So we need 6. And we got a 6 and a 3, 9, 11. So that takes care of the skeleton. And because we did not get armor, item, or weapon, we can explore again immediately. And here we go, Poison Trap, our first henchman. Okay. If we defeat this, we can immediately attempt to close the location. So we need, it's a barrier, dexterity, disable 5. Okay. So these are important, obviously. Our dex is 6. Shoot. It is a trapped poison, so the manic will not help us. Okay, so we need to do this. So we need a 6 for our dex. And I think Ezrin's going to help out with the Blessing of the Gods, because we need to try to get this done. So he's going to discard this to add 1 die to a check, which means it could be someone else's. It's not yours, it's A. So he gets 2d6. And he needs a 5. And we get 6. Nice. So that takes care of it. Sweet. Nice. So we defeat the poison trap. If defeated, immediately attempt to close the location. Of course, I didn't pay attention to what that would require. Banish a card from your hand. Oh, banish. Wow, that means get rid of forever. Well, I don't want to get rid of the wooden shield, even though it's really not being very useful right now. We can always get it back at the end. Of course, we could always get the magic, because we're using a two-handed weapon most of the time here. That magic could be useful. It just depends what barriers come up. I think I have to get rid of the magic for now. When I rebuild the decks, we can always add it back in, because it's a basic item if we wanted to. Well, actually, we can't unless we don't have enough. That's alright, I'm going to get rid of it. I don't want to get rid of that shield. Even though I can't use it until I use a one-handed weapon, it's still nice to be able to stop damage from coming. But we banished, so we actually closed out the general store, which is nice. So that's done. So now we get to see if there's any other villains in here, which there's not. So what was in here? A short sword, potion of vision, caltrops, and chainmail. So all this stuff goes away, but the general store is closed for business. And Amiri's turn is done, so we draw a new card, and we get a potion of energy resistance. Nice. Okay, so Sela is up next. New turn. She's hanging at the town square, but she's not going to stay there. because she knows that there's a giant evil beast there. So she's going to head to, I think she's going to go to the village gates and see what's going on there. Alert and capable guards hold their posts, questioning visitors and checking cargo at this fortified entry into the community. Between the guards stand strong gates and a sturdy portcullis. The wood and steel of these solid barriers showing scratches and scores acquired while defending against unwelcome strangers, would-be invaders, and worse. If you fail a combat check, shuffle a random monster from the box into the deck so that people are coming after the gates. Okay. So, Sela's hanging out, and she's flipping up a mercenary right off the bat. She sees someone hanging out by the gates that she knows is up to no good. She approaches him, and the mercenary quickly attacks to try to get a jump on her. So she needs a 10. So she has her short sword. So strength or melee, her strength is +2. So she gets a D8 +2 as she defends herself from the mercenary. And she can also add a D6 because of the short sword. I can discard it to add another D6. I don't think she's going to go that far. So she needs an 8 though out of these. Come on. Actually, I think she's going to do her ability here. She's going to discard the top card of her deck to add another D6. If it's a blessing, you recharge it instead. She has more blessings than anything else. And it is not a blessing. It's a mace, so that goes away. But she does get another D6 to her roll. So we're going to put that here, and do the +2 to remind myself of that. So we need an 8 with these rolls. And we got a 7. Oh my god. We had a 9. So she fails, even with that bonus. So he does a damage to her. We could reveal our magic shield to reduce combat damage by 2. If we're proficient with light armor, which we are, we can play another armor. We did not use a two-handed weapon, so we're able to do that. So she's going to reveal her magic shield to reduce it by 2 so she doesn't take any damage. But the problem is the mercenary doesn't go away. He stays. We got to shuffle him back in. Alright, so Sela does not take out the mercenary. He takes a swipe at her, just kind of scrapes her, and escapes into the alleyways. And he may find her again later. I failed a combat check, so I shuffle a random monster from the box into the location. I didn't even realize that. So a random monster from the box. I'm just going to grab a random card and put it in, and now I got to shuffle again. So that makes failing that check even worse. Alright, Sela, not good. And she has no way to continue on either. So she's done. So she needs to add her cure spell, which may come in use soon for her, to her deck, to her hand. Okay. Alright, so Ezrin is still hanging over at the apothecary, and he's going to check it again. And finds a flaming mace. That could be awesome. The problem is, it's strength melee, which is not awesome. Because he obviously sucks at that. He's a 6. There is a strength spell that I think he has in his deck, but he does not have it out. He has no blessings, and nobody has any way to help him. So basically, he's just going to have to let that thing go. Oh, it'd be great to get that and give it to somebody else, but he does not have a way to get it. He cannot. It's 11. The most he can get is 6. So he has to let the flaming mace go. That is terrible. Oh, that could have been so nice, too. God, that could have been so nice. Alright, and he has no way to go again. So he has to just flip over a card, and he gets the arcane armor. Good for defense. And that was a quick round for him. Alright, so Amiri closed the general store last time he was around. So he's going to head over to the town square. If you remember, there's an ogre here that is tough to take down, but if anybody can do it, Amiri can. And, oh, it's a hill giant, yeah. 15. Gotta try. Alright, so he's got the long spear +1. So that's a +3 with the d12 when you take into account his melee and the +1 of the long spear, with an additional d8 added on top. And she can bury a card from her hand to add a d10. So I think she's going to bury... Actually, I think she's going to bury the wooden shield. Because she has that potion now. And that might not be the right call, but it's buried, which means you can't get it back this round, this scenario, but it will come back in her hand at the end. And that adds a d10. So that is why I got her doing this, because she has a way to get a lot of attacks. A good chunk. So we need 12 with these dice. And we definitely got it. We got 23. So Amiri takes out the hill giant. Well done. And he's done. So for the town square, it says you may discard a card from your hand to explore during your turn. This card may not be recharged. I don't think we want to do that. Not yet. We're still early on in here. We're doing decent. We already got a place closed. So Amiri's going to stop her turn, flip over the warhammer, which is one-handed. Now I could have used that shield, but whatever. Okay, and she's done. So let's go back to Sela, who's hanging here at the city gate. Having problems. She had some problems last time, too. But she's going to hang here. She ran into a mercenary who slashed at her and took off. But now she runs into an archer who's looking for someone. Archer who's looking for someone to work for. Not really good for her for ranged combat. We can always discard to explore a location. But remember, we add 2 to our checks to acquire allies, so she actually, yeah, it's going to make it more difficult to get her. Dexterity range of 8 is not going to work. Charisma diplomacy of D10 is what she has. So she is going to just try that straight up. D10. She needs an 8. She gets a 4. So the archer takes a look at Sela and says, "No, thank you. Not my type, paladin," and walks away. So Sela is a little not doing good again. She had the most trouble last time for me, I think. And I screwed up because I could have examined the top card. If it was a boon, I could have put it at the bottom of my deck, so I could have gotten that archer. Maybe that's why she struggled last time, because I'm not doing all her abilities correctly. So I'm sure it's my fault. Dang it. Alright, so her turn's done. So let's flip over a blessing for Ezrin here. And he's hanging at the apothecary still. And, ooh, lightning touch. Just up his alley. Arcane intelligence 4. So he gets a d12 plus 2 to try to get a hold of that thing. So basically he needs a 2 on a d12. 4, 6, gets it. So he gets the lightning touch spell, which is awesome. And if you acquire a card with the magic trait, which you just did, you may immediately explore again. So he's exploring again. And a Blessing of the Gods, which would be useful for him. And he actually gets that. You encounter this card, you automatically acquire it. So he gets that. Wow. Pretty nice. But he got a million cards, is the problem. He's going to have to discard 2 of these. So that's bad. So we might as well use this blessing to explore again. Kind of sucks. Doesn't have the magic trait, so he doesn't do it for free. Well, actually, he could. No, that's the only way you can explore again. So let's just do it. And finds the poison trap. Dexterity disable 5. Okay. His dex is 6. Not good. Actually, yeah, this is not working out because I don't think he's gonna have too hard of a time to do this. I wish I would have kept my blessing now, because I wouldn't have been able to explore again. Dang it. Okay, the good thing is we're almost done. So even if we fail, we only have 1 card left to worry about here. So we can still close this very soon. But bad things can happen if we fail. So we have a 5, and he only gets a 6. So he needs a 5 or 6 on this roll. And he gets a 1. Alright. If undefeated, discard the top card of your deck. Okay. So our top card of our deck is Augury. Okay. Then each character at this location must succeed at a Constitution or Fortitude 7 check or be dealt 1d4 minus 1 poison damage. Ouch. Con or Fortitude 7. I'm assuming he's not good at either of those. His con is 4. He has no Fortitude. And he has no way to improve. And this isn't combat damage. So he can't use his arcane armor to help get rid of it. So Ezrin is basically in trouble because he cannot pass that 7 con no matter what he does. And we have no way to help him. So he's going to get nailed for 1d4 minus 1 damage. And he rolls a 4, so a 3 damage to Ezrin. That's not good. So he's going to get rid of his Blast Stone. He's going to get rid of one of his Lightning Touches, I guess. And he's going to get rid of Force Missile. That sucks. Then his turn is over. Poison Trap goes away. So he has to draw 2 cards, Quarterstaff and Sleep, to get to 6. And his deck's getting very low. Actually, his deck is incredibly low. It's at 3. That's what I was discarding so fast with him. Not good planning ahead there, Scowls. The good thing is our girl's got a cure spell. She can cure him. Or he can just not do an encounter at the Apothecary next turn and shuffle the top 1d6 cards from your discard pile back into your deck. He can get healed at the Apothecary, which he may do. Alright, so he's done. So we move on to Amiri, who is hanging at the town square, and she sees a Detect Magic scroll for sale and says, my buddy Ezrin might like that. Maybe I should see if I can get a hold of it for him. Intelligence, Arcane, Wisdom, Divine. Intelligence D4, Wisdom D6. So she's going to use her Wisdom. Only needs a 2, and gets a 1. So maybe Ezrin doesn't want this one. Doesn't seem very powerful, says Amiri as she throws it off to the side. We could discard a card from our hand to explore again. I think we're going to wait. I think we're just going to chill for now. Alright. So Sela's up. And she's hanging at the city gates still. There's been a lot of riffraff here. She's just holding out. She notices there's a short bow that she might want to try to get. So Dex range 3. She only gets a D4 for Dex. It's not that important, so she's going to try it. And she gets a 4, so she gets it. Nice. Nice to have, though it's not the most important thing for her to get. But she did get it. So she can discard it. She's going to have to discard down. She can't keep going. She doesn't have anything to keep going with. So she is going to discard the short bow, but she can give it to another player at the end of the round, at the scenario, possibly, or something of that nature. It's always good, because since we got it, well, if we didn't get it, we wouldn't have had a discard, so I guess it kind of was a breaks even there. Okay, so Ezrin is chilling at the apothecary, and he's hurting. Went through his spells too fast, wasn't thinking, so he is not going to explore, so he gets to... If you did not explore, which he's not, after you reset your hand, so we reset, you may shuffle the top 6 1d6 cards from your discard pile into your deck. So he's going to roll, and he can shuffle 2. The top 2, so Force Missile and Lightning Touch, goes back in his hand. So that gives him a little more health. Yeah, I completely forgot how the game worked when it came to Ezrin during this round, saying I just got discarding cards and checking the apothecary. I discard him, and keep searching. And I got through the deck, but then before I realized it, he had 3 cards left. Okay, so he's done. So Amiri is at the town square again, and she finds a plague zombie. Out of the corner of her eye, she notices something doesn't look right. A plague zombie, immune to mental and poison, 11. Alright, so Icy Long Spear, immune to mental and poison, so that doesn't affect anything. So she's going to get a D3, remember, for her spear with her 12 and melee. And she also gets an additional D8 to that because of the spears. And she gets the cold trait, which doesn't help. So she needs an 11, so she needs a 8 with these dice. I think she's just going to go for it. And she gets an 11, so she easily beats the plague zombie. And gets rid of that nastiness. You may discard a card from your hand to explore during your turn. Okay. I think she may do that. I think she's going to discard a Warhammer. Keep going. Amulet of Fortitude. Con Fort 5. Okay. So her con is D8. Doesn't get any bonuses to that. So she's just going to try to get a 5. And it gets a 1. So the amulet goes away. Not the greatest thing, but it's not terrible. Alright, so Amiri is done. She's going to draw her card up. She gets her long spear. And we're back to Sela, who's still hanging at the city gates. Now Sela's going to actually use her power, because I never do it. Examine the top card of your location at the start of your turn. If it's a boon, put it in the bottom of your deck. It is not a boon. It is a Goblin Commando. Every time I do it, it's not what I could use. Goblin Commando, 9 combat. And he deals 1 range damage to her. But she can show the shield to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2. So she doesn't take the hit. She quickly raises her shield and blocks this commandos who was sent to go after her, apparently. Blocks the arrow quickly. And now she approaches him to take him out with his 9. So she's using her short sword, which is +2 for melee, and a D8 for strength, and a D6 for the short sword. And she could discard the top card of her deck to add another D6 to her check, so I think she'll do that. If it's a blessing, she can recharge it, and it is a blessing. So it goes to the bottom of her deck, so that was nice. And that adds yet another D6 to her check. So we'll put the 2 here. So she's looking for a 7 with that bonus, and she gets an 11. So she takes out the Goblin Commando who had tried to sneak attack her, but failed miserably in the end. Sela's feeling pretty good about herself. She actually does something positive for once, and her turn is done, it looks like. So we move over to Ezrin, who is still chilling at the apothecary, and I think he's got enough health to try this last card. And it is Inflict, a Wisdom Divine spell. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Wisdom Divine of 6, though. And his Wisdom is an 8. So he doesn't have any bonuses to get that. So he's just going to go for it with the 8. Needs 6. Gets a 5. Just misses on Inflict. But the good thing is that there's no cards left. Succeed Intelligence 6 craft check. I think... Let me double check. Yeah, according to the turn order here, explore first is optional, and then you try to close the location if it doesn't have any cards. So I can still close it on the same turn that I explored. And to close the apothecary, we need to succeed at an Intelligence 6 check, which is why I wanted him there too, because obviously his intelligence is his best. And he has a intelligence of crap, so he gets a D12. So D12 could succeed with a 6 or more. Doesn't have a way to improve that. Gets a 6 exactly, of course. Perfect. Awesome. So the apothecary is now closed. And that is sweet, sweet, sweet. Well done, Ezrin. And his turn is over, but he's got all his cards. So that's that for that. Nice. So now we're going to end up moving on to Amiri in the next turn.